This inquiry preview helps you prepare the Map California Features activity. This hands-on activity requires 15 minutes of prep time, takes 30 minutes to complete, and works best when students are placed in small groups. The purpose of this activity is for students to create a 3D map of California and look for patterns in land features. A relief model is a three-dimensional map that shows areas of high and low elevation. As students construct their own relief model of the state of California, make connections to the science and engineering practice, analyze and interpret data. During the construction of their model, ask students what type of data they can gather from studying a relief model. How can a relief model help answer the encounter the phenomenon question? What patterns can you find in the location of Earth's features? As you prepare for this activity, complete this checklist before class starts. First, gather the materials. Each group needs a sheet of cardboard approximately 8.5 inches by 11 inches, an outline of your state, glue, a measuring cup, a bowl, flour, salt, water, a spoon, and permanent markers. If you have students mix the modeling dough, cover the work surfaces with newspaper, paper bags, or other materials to make cleanup easier. To help save time, prepare these materials prior to the start of class. Obtain an outline of the state your students will be modeling. Make enough photocopies of this map for your class. Here are a few options for mixing the dough. The first option involves pre-mixing the dough ahead of time. If you choose this option, wrap the finished dough in plastic wrap so that it's sealed completely, as the dough will dry out quickly. The dough recipe is enough for 2 groups. Use this as a guide for how much dough you will need. The second option is to pre-measure the ingredients for students. If students prepare the full recipe, have them mix the dough in 2 smaller batches, as these will fit in the bowl more easily. Students will then mix the 2 batches together to form a unified dough. The third option is to have students prepare half of the recipe for their group. Use 1 cup flour, ½ cup of salt, and about a ½ cup of water. You may wish to substitute some materials for this activity. For example, glue sticks are a substitute for white school glue. Using glue sticks will cut down on the drying time needed. Markers work well to color the model, but consider having your students use paints and paintbrushes. To help ensure a smooth activity, include these topics in your pre-activity discussion with your class. Model any steps of the activity that you feel students would need to see before doing the activity. Review general rules and expected classroom behavior prior to starting this activity. Students should clean up any spills that occur as they happen. Students should follow the procedure for this activity. However, here are a few key ideas to make this activity successful. Remind students that they do not need to use a lot of glue. A thin bead of glue around the perimeter of the paper will be plenty. Explain that the state outline should be as accurate as possible. Students should not worry about the small details on the map, such as inlets and islands. Remind students to refer to a relief map, such as one in their notebook, to help them place landforms correctly. Explain that students can wet their finger with a little water to smooth sections of their model where needed. The bowl, measuring cup, and spoon can all be washed and reused. Depending on the material used, you may be able to reuse the workspace covering, seal any leftover flour in an airtight container, or dispose of it in the garbage. Students should create a model that accurately represents their state's landforms, features, cities, and bodies of water. When students finish, bring them together to discuss their findings. If some students are unable to view the expected observations, show the Inquiry Rewind student video before starting the discussion. Then, use the questions in the Teacher's Edition to guide your discussion.